What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. I'm just a guy on my lunch break. I'm no professional. Well, I am a professional, but I'm not a professional counselor, or I'm not a professional drug addiction specialist, or anything like that. I'm not from AA. I'm not from NA. I'm none of those things. I'm just a guy who has been known to abuse a few substances in my life and is trying to finally make that change, to put it in Michael Jackson terminology. Man, I miss that guy. I was such a huge Michael Jackson fan. He was gone way too soon. He was one of those that I really, really wanted to see him in concert. It was kind of a bucket list item for me. Because when I was younger, he was the man. He was the thing. Well, he was kind of a man. He was, one of the most amazing entertainers that the world had ever seen. But I was a kid. I was a child. I didn't have my own money. I didn't have my own freedom. I didn't have the ability to be able to just up and, hey, I think I want to go see him in concert. I didn't have that ability at that time. Finally, once I got to be an adult and I was established and I was making my own money, and once he had been through all this crap and he decided to come back and make that last album, I was like, you know what? When he made that announcement for that This Is It album, even though I knew he was older, it probably wasn't going to be, a prime Michael and all that, I still was like, it's a bucket list thing. You go see Michael Jackson. Some of the greats, you want to go see those. And I had every intention of doing that. And I remember it was less than a month later that I found out he passed away. And I was like, oh, damn, not just because I couldn't see him. Obviously, it's, the passing of a legend, and one of the greatest entertainers the world has ever seen. But hey, just an example of another gifted individual that struggle from substance abuse. A lot of times, those people who bring some of the most amazing gifts to the world, that comes at a cost for them. And a lot of times that is substance abuse. Anyway, that's kind of neither here nor there. It's kind of all over the place. I changed the name of the channel to Just a Guy on My Lunch Break. Listen, one of the things we used to say in the music business, or in the studio recording business, one of the main things that I had this one vocal producer who was one of my favorite ones. He actually was with that with the group Blackstreet. The group that did the No Diggity and Don't Leave Me Girl and all those. Well, there's a guy in there named Mark Middleton, and he actually was did some vocal production on a couple of the demos that we did, and one of his favorite sayings was, just live with it for a little bit. Because there were times where, it's one of those things where a lot of times when people first hear a change, or you see something different when you've been used to seeing it one way, like by example, let's say there's a song that was originally recorded, back in the 80s or something, and it was one of your favorite songs. You used to listen to that song all the time. That song like the song was originally recorded, and you love that song by the way it was originally recorded. And then 25 years later, someone comes and does a different cut, a different edit, kind of a different, more updated version of that song. And a lot of times, people will hear it, and the first thing you hear them say, I like the original one better. The original one is a lot better. Now listen, that's sometimes the case. Sometimes the original is actually better, but a lot of times people just aren't used to it yet. No, it's not that you don't like it as well. You're not accustomed to it yet. You're used to hearing it this way, and you haven't taken the time to kind of live with it for a little while. A lot of times, once you hear that new one 5 times, 10 times, 15 times, and you're like, okay, all right, yeah, now starting to grow on me a little bit now. So what I'm saying is, as far as the name of the channel, Just a Guy on My Lunch Break, you're used to seeing it as, that's right, I said it, just live with it for a week. before jumping in the comments, oh, I liked it the other way, oh, it looks weird, it's going to look weird at first. You haven't lived with it yet, okay? So I changed the name. I think it's kind of catchy because I am on my lunch break. And, you know, just live with it for a little bit. And, you know, if we'll readdress it again 3 weeks from now. And if in 3 weeks we're all still like, you know, I kind of liked it better the other way, then I can always change it back, okay? I can change it 100. It's my channel. I can change it 1,000,000 times if I want to. I can change the name of it every week if I want to. It's a big deal, right? So, getting a lot of new subscribers. I'm up to 334 subscribers at this point. So with that being the case, I want to make sure that I kind of give a little backstory every day. And for those of you who've been following me for a while, I apologize. Some of you may be hearing some, you know, repetitive sort of content. And you're like, oh, I already knew all this about you. Well, the new people, a lot of them have not. And I've got, you know, I think 116 or 117 videos on this channel now. So a lot of people have not heard my backstory, and they may not end up on the exact right video to understand what my backstory is. So every few videos or so, I like to kind of give a little bit of a backstory on myself. If you end up on my videos with the word KRATOM in the title, you're probably either on KRATOM, or you're recently off KRATOM, or you're thinking about using KRATOM. Probably one of the first two. You're either on it now and are trying to figure out how to come off of it, or maybe to taper or curtail your use, or you are a person who has recently come off of it and you're looking for inspiration and motivation on how to stay that way off of it, right? I do a lot of quotes. I noticed that. I always allow YouTube to pick my thumbnail for my video, and it always picks a video of me going like this. It's like, damn, I must do a lot of quotes. Oh well, it is what it is. I talk with my hands too. I can't help it. It's just something that comes natural. So I'm on day 18 right now, completely off of KRATOM. I told you guys I'd been taking tyrosine, you know, ever since I've been off. I've been kind of taking that, well, at least probably 4 days a week. I've been taking it. I haven't been taking it like on the weekends or anything like that, but I have been taking it during the week. And I expressed yesterday how it's kind of like, wait, why am I taking this? You know, it's not a drug. It's just an amino acid, you know, so it doesn't give you any specific feeling. It's just supposed to help your body to be able to manufacture and produce dopamine, basically, which dopamine is a neurotransmitter. And a lot of times when you're coming off of something like KRATOM, something that was giving you those unnatural dopamine boosts just on a regular, ongoing basis, you know, your body's response to that, and we've talked about this before relentlessly, your body's response to that is to shut down dopamine production. Be like, you know, turn the lights off, everybody go home, we're not making any more dopamine for today because we got all this extra by virtue of the KRATOM, right? And so when you abruptly stop or you come off of something like KRATOM, your body's response to, your body is in dopamine depletion mode. You're basically void of any decent amount of dopamine, which is why you get the low energy, the anhedonia, the kind of depression, the ability or the inability rather to be able to feel pleasure in anything, that sort of thing. Is pretty common with coming off of something like KRATOM or, you know, pain pills, heroin, something like that gives you kind of this mood lift and this I want to say artificial sort of energy, right? And when you come off, you have trouble naturally manufacturing that energy neurotransmitter, that energy chemical, the dopamine, right? And so the L-tyrosine is supposed to help with that some because it's an amino acid that is crucial for your body to be able to manufacture dopamine and make dopamine, right? So, you know, it's one of those things where when you take it, you don't necessarily feel like a specific, you definitely don't get any sort of high or euphoria from it. I'm not 100% sure if it even helped that much, to be honest. Anyway, the point I'm getting at is I haven't taken any today. I didn't take any tyrosine today, including this morning. I skipped taking it this morning, and I didn't take any a few minutes ago at lunch. So I haven't taken any tyrosine today, and I really don't feel that much different, to be honest. That doesn't necessarily mean that it wasn't working, because a lot of sources say you're not really supposed to take that every day anyway, like it's a once every few days sort of thing. Which during the week I was taking it more daily. So it could just be that I don't need it because it's still kind of helping to manufacture dopamine in my system. I don't know. Anyway, it's neither here nor there. It's not a drug. It's not addictive. It was just something that, as a substance abuser or an addict, someone who's used to taking something all the time, you'd be surprised, So, and I've talked about this before. Somebody could probably hand me, 10 sugar pills, and as long as I could dose on them every few hours, I would probably feel like I was taking drugs. It's kind of like a smoker. There's the nicotine, but then a whole separate problem is the hand to mouth action. Just doing this, taking it into your lungs and then letting out the smoke. That's part of the addiction. It's just the kinetic, like actual movement, and getting used to that movement of doing this, and the movement of, that sort of thing. And so I think it's not dissimilar to a person who's used to taking something regularly. When you stop taking something regularly, it's kind of like your body's like, oh, wait a minute, why am I not putting this pill in my mouth? That sort of thing. So all I did this morning is I just took a multivitamin, which certainly nothing wrong with that. Probably don't even need it, to be honest, because I eat super healthy. I eat things like tuna right out of the can, wheat thins, almonds, avocado right out of the shell, a hard-boiled egg, cherries. I got some cherries today, pineapple, apple, banana. I mean, this is literally the kind of stuff I eat throughout the day. And then the only time I eat like a meal, like a full-on meal, there I go again. Only time I eat an actual meal is in the evenings. My wife will cook something, and again, that's always pretty healthy too. It'll have a pretty balanced meal with a vegetable, a meat. As much as I exercise and as healthy as I eat and as much water as I drink, probably 100 ounces of water per day, I don't go too anal about, whether everything that's represented on my dinner plate is absolutely healthy. Like I ate some country fried steak the other night, a little bit of gravy on it, some mashed potatoes with it, green beans. I don't go too crazy with that because, a relatively small amount of carbs or not processed, but like fried or something like that. If you eat a small amount of fried food, or like gravy, something that's got some fat in it, if you eat a small amount of that every week and you're a person who otherwise is very healthy and very active and exercises a lot and drinks tons of water, it's not a problem. And a lot of times people get this idea that you hear that these things are unhealthy. Oh, I can't have any of that. No, can't have any of that stuff. Nah, that's not true. When that kind of stuff becomes a problem is when that's all you do. You do that 3-4 times a day. You eat these big, huge, massive meals 3 times a day. About everything that's on your plate is fried. Everything on your plate is fattening. You're eating large amounts of it, and you're sedentary, and you don't drink any water, and this and that, and you don't eat any fruits and vegetables. It's that sort of thing. That's when people run into problems. A little bit of fried food here and there once a week, twice a week, that's not going to kill anybody. Okay? Because you're in homeostasis. You're a healthy individual who's all the systems are go. All systems are flowing normally because you exercise, you eat a ton of fiber, you drink a bunch of water, you get your vitamins, you get your minerals, all these things. That's what keeps the body flowing in homeostasis and keeps you, instead of sinking down here or being way up here, it keeps you steady like a Buddhist monk, right? That's where you want to be, the homeostasis. So a lot of people get that too a little twisted. It's not going to kill you to eat a few carbs here and there if you're an active person who does all the other healthy things that you should do in life. It's not going to kill you to, eat a fried food here and there, or have, a helping of fries once or twice a week, or eat you a small helping of ice cream, once or twice a week. Those things are not going to kill you. It all has to do with moderation. And I scream this from the mountaintops on this channel. Moderation. Food is good for you. Too much food is not good for you. Too much food, you have to have food to survive, right? Okay, too much food, you end up with shows like My 600-Pound Life or The 1,000-Pound Sisters, right? That's what food can do to you and for you if you are not moderating it. So too much of even a good thing becomes what? A bad thing, right? So don't worry so much about if you eat something that's processed once or twice a week. Don't worry so much if you eat a few carbs, a couple of times a week. Don't worry so much if you eat a little bit of sugar or something that's got a little bit of fat in it or is fried or whatever it is. You don't have to worry about that stuff so much if you're otherwise living a healthy lifestyle. If 90% of your life is eating all the right things, drinking a bunch of water, exercising, pushing yourself every day, all these other things, then those things are not going to kill you, okay? I mean, something's going to kill you eventually. Eventually, we all have to walk through that door, so something's going to kill us. But, it won't be sooner than later, as long as you're doing everything else right. So yeah, no tyrosine today. Last night, I still did not sleep well. I did drink, I would say probably, it might have been like 4 ounces of red wine. There's a lot of health benefits with that. And that's not just an excuse, because 4 ounces of wine really actually does nothing for me. I didn't even recognize getting a buzz off of it. It was literally about that much, a small glass of red wine. I don't know if it was that or my workplace usually offers free water. We have cases of water bottles stacked up in the break room by the refrigerator that we can drink as much as we want of every day. And so I always get my water intake in. And every once in a while we'll run out of them for a day or so, and I'll come in and we don't have any water. And I wasn't prepared for this. So yesterday I probably only drank, I don't know, maybe 24 ounces of water, something like that. I drank, whatever this is, and then about that much more of water, which that's not nearly as much water as I usually drink on a daily basis. Usually I'm drinking anywhere from 90 to about 120 ounces of water every day. I get in my water. I didn't do that yesterday, so that could have had something to do with it, or it could have been the small amount of red wine that was keeping me awake. They say alcohol can actually disrupt sleep patterns and cause people to struggle getting to sleep. I don't think that that's probably the case. Again, this was just like a Cabernet, a healthier like red wine. And I did not have much at all of it, so I don't think that would have been what was keeping me awake. Could have been that I didn't drink a lot of water. Could have been that I didn't have time to exercise yesterday. I'll be going to kickboxing this evening, so I'll be getting in my exercise today. Not sure exactly what it was, or if it's just that I'm only 18 days off of KRATOM, and I'm still having a little, lingering kind of sleep disruptions. And I've had a lot of people jump in the comments and say, hey, that's a normal thing. The sleep is typically the very last thing to return to normal. The post-acute withdrawals, can sometimes last a while, and that's kind of part of it, is the sleep disruption and whatnot. And it could be that, and again, these aren't withdrawals per se. It certainly doesn't feel like withdrawals at 18 days off. But, I was having a little bit of couldn't keep my legs still. I'm like, this is weird, and that's the problem. That's the problem with being a person that has used something for most of your adult life. And for me, it hasn't always been opiates. It would, for a little while, smoking some weed. For a little while, it was just when I wasn't using, before I discovered KRATOM, I was drinking a little bit every night. That's the problem with being a person that's kind of always used something, right? Is you don't know what your baseline is. You don't know what your position of homeostasis and complete homeostasis and inner body serenity is. You don't know what that is. So what was leading me to that is both of my parents supposedly suffer with RLS, or restless leg syndrome. Now, this isn't from any sort of withdrawal or coming off of opiates or anything like that. It's just something they supposedly suffer for, and they take something called Klonopin for that to help with restless legs. And so a lot of people might say, well, that's maybe that's something you've inherited from your parents, right? Maybe you have restless legs, but I wouldn't know. Coming off of something like opiates can give you restless legs. The withdrawals, restless legs, are typically a part of the physical withdrawals associated with coming off of some opiate-like substance, right? So for me, it's kind of like I have to wait to find out. I need to give it more time, to see if, in a couple of weeks or whatever, if I stop experiencing that. And if 5-6 months down the road and I'm been completely off of KRATOM the whole time and I'm still having some issues with my leg jumping a little bit at night, then at some point it might be safe to say, well, hey, this is just an issue you have some nerve issues that you might need to go get see a doctor about, right? Which is not that bad yet. And it's one of those things that once I go to sleep and once I fall asleep, it doesn't typically bother me. It's one of those things where it happens in my process of trying to go to sleep. I'm getting that, not necessarily where my leg is jumping as much as it's just I get that feeling in it where I have to stretch it out or move it, or you know what I'm talking about. If you ended up on my channel, you probably know what I'm talking about. But yeah, but anyway, so what I ended up doing last night was I took a 5 milligram melatonin. I set it beside my bed on my nightstand, just kind of kept it there just in case. We laid down maybe about 9:30 or so. Oh no, it's probably a little earlier, maybe about 9. We lay down and we'll go, we'll just watch TV for a little bit until we get tired and drift off, that sort of thing. And right around 10 or 10:30, what I was doing was I was trying to give myself an hour or so. Let's see if you can go to sleep without taking a melatonin, right? Let's try that first, and then if a little while passes and you're just having trouble drifting off, then the melatonin is right there. You can reach over on the nightstand, you can take it. Melatonin's non-habit forming, non-addictive. It's a chemical that's already found in your body. You're just kind of getting more. It's a hormone. You're actually putting more of that hormone into your body, which can just promote sleepiness, right? And so about 10:15, I went ahead and grabbed the melatonin. I was having trouble drifting off, having a little bit of movement in the leg, where I couldn't keep my leg still. A little bit of weirdness in my chest and stuff as well. And I think tonight I'll probably skip the small amount of red wine. I just probably won't drink any tonight to see if that helps. Then again, I'm going to kickboxing tonight. I should get a good workout in, so that might help kind of drift off too. I'm just kind of trying to nail down what is actually normal for me and what is just part of my biological makeup and what is self-induced from where I took Kratom for 3.5, 4 years straight, and now I've stopped and I'm on day 18 completely off of it, trying to figure out which is which, and sometimes that's tough for folks like us that have been using something using something for a lot of our lives. Let's see what else. But anyway, my backstory is I abused and overused and abused pain pills probably 15 years ago or so. I had a stint with Percocet and Vicodin. Quit both of those cold turkey. Stayed off of them, or didn't use them regularly anyway. I can't say I didn't dabble in them from time to time, but I never got back physically dependent upon any sort of pain pills for like the past probably 15 years or so. And then about 4 years ago, so I went, a good 10, 11, 12 years not really messing with any opiates or pain pills, right? I did do other things, but nothing regarding opiates. And then about 4 years ago, somewhere around, roughly around 2019, somewhere around in there, I discovered Kratom and started taking Kratom, mainly just the capsules, anywhere from about 9 to probably 12 grams, maybe 10 to 13 grams. I was not taking that much, especially for the first several years that I was taking it. And then back in, I think it would have been somewhere around December of 2021, something like that. So a little less than, roughly probably about 2 years ago now, I discovered the MIT extracts, right? Still remember when I discovered them. Go to my usual head shop at that time to get my Kratom capsules, my regular weekly Kratom capsules, and the guy who owns it, I asked him what it is. What are these? Little MIT extracts. And he's like, "You hadn't had one of those? Oh man, yeah, you would like those. You should try one of those." So I tried it, and sure enough, just like any good addict would, I was like, "Oh, this is the shit." I feel like I just took like some Roxacet or some, cough syrup with codeine in it or something. It felt amazing, right? And so I knew immediately that was going to end up being a slippery slope for me. My wife and I both make good money, so it never like sent me into a downward spiral to where we couldn't pay our bills and I was spending all my money on Kratom. And so, I never really had any of that. And as far as with the powder and the capsules themselves, I never really saw a lot of negative issues regarding that, including with my finances. But again, I was a person who, outside of the Kratom use, was very, 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 very strict and very, very disciplined and very, very healthy in my life with my diet, always exercising, drinking tons of water, doing lots of things that are appropriate for positive mental health, all those things. So I don't know, for that, maybe Kratom didn't hit me as bad as a lot of people. What really caused me to want to curtail my use is when I got on the MIT 45s, the extracts. And that was one of those that once I got on those for a while and I realized how strong they were and how powerful they were, and then I found myself at a point where I'd be driving home from work. This is when I was, fully using Kratom all the time. I had not stopped or tapered or come off. I would be driving home and I would find myself wanting to stop and get an MIT extract, even though I had Kratom capsules at home. I would have 80 to 100 kratom capsules in a bottle sitting in my top drawer at home. And then here I am, still tempted every day when I drive by the head shop to stop and get an MIT. Like, why are you doing that, bro? If it's kratom you want, you got kratom at home, right? But it was the strength of them, and it's how quickly they took effect that I was getting addicted to. The higher amount of euphoria, the higher amount of energy, all those things. And at some point about 4 or 5 months ago, I discovered that about MITs. I decided I wanted to come off of it. So then I started this channel. It's kind of my accountability mirror to keep myself on the right track of coming off of it. I started to taper down. The first time I went to taper, I didn't get all the way off of it. I got down to about 2.5 grams, and then I started taking it again. As any good addict would, I used the surprise birth of my son. And when I say surprise, I mean it was literally a surprise. My wife and I found out on May the 6th that she was pregnant. My son was born on May the 12th, 6 days later. My wife didn't even think she could have children. She's been told that she was infertile. Not infertile, but because of a condition that she had, polycystic ovarian syndrome, that she would never have children. She was told that. So her and I were just, when we would be intimate, it was like just willy-nilly, like no worries, and we always lived our life that way. And the whole time 10 years we've been married, never had any even close pregnancies or miscarriages or anything. We just always assumed the doctors are right. All right. Well, when God decides, it doesn't matter what the doctors say. You understand? So, her and I are very, very busy people, just going on about our lives. And she just got to this thing where she was exercising. She didn't really understand why her belly wasn't losing weight. She was losing weight everywhere except her belly. And eventually she sits me down and talks to me about it. And I'm like, well, let's take a pregnancy test. You never know. Sure enough, we take the pregnancy test, 2 pregnancy tests, and both of them are positive. This was on May the 6th. We learned that she's actually pregnant. We go to the first doctor's visit 3 days later on Tuesday, May the 9th. They tell us that we're 35 weeks pregnant. She's almost full term. You just can't write this shit. And I'm telling you, this is exactly what happened. If you've been following me for a while, you already know this story. If you know this story, I apologize you're hearing it again, but I want the new people that have been subscribing to the channel to know this. And so 3 days after that, or 2 days after that, on May the 11th, my wife's water breaks. And we're like, whoa, wait, what? We take her to the OBGYN that afternoon. They're like, you're 4 centimeters dilated. Drive over to the hospital. I'll meet you there. We're going to have a baby today. And we were like, what? We just found out we were pregnant 6 days ago. We didn't even have a car seat. We didn't even have a crib. We didn't have diapers. We didn't have wipes. We didn't have onesies, clothes for the baby. We didn't have anything. So this was the day that I was at 2.5 grams, right? So obviously, like any good addict would, I was like, oh, I can't come off right now. No, I can't come off right now. This ain't a good time. Something stressful like that happening in your life. I didn't want to be sick. I didn't want to be going through anything. I wanted to be present. I wanted to be there. I wanted to be uplifted in my mood so I could really be there for my wife and my new son. So I made the choice to do that. And I went back on the kratom again. Well, I stayed back on the kratom, just kind of willy-nilly taking whatever I wanted to for the first couple of months of my son's life. And then about a month ago, I decided again, it's time to go ahead and finish what I started, right? So I did that about a month ago, started on the taper again. Well, it's been more than a month now because I'm almost 3 weeks completely off. So probably about a month and a half ago, I decided go ahead and do the taper again. I did that. I made a playlist about that taper. If you're just happening upon the channel, you want to look at my Kratom taper playlist. I talk about all the ins and outs of the taper every day, how I was feeling, things I was doing to help, things I was doing to help sleep at night. All of these things, I outline all of it. So go click on that playlist, watch it. And now I'm 18 days completely off of Kratom. So that's kind of where I'm at. I'm not an AA guy. I'm not an NA guy. And in fact, from the very moment that I started this channel, I've been very upfront and out in the open that I'm not saying I'll never take KRATOM again. I'm not going to say that. And that could just be me leaving the door open like any good addict would, leaving that door cracked just in case I fail and I decide to go back through it. But even before I was off of it, I didn't ever really like, I like it too much. It's one of those things where I still want to be able to use it every once in a while, not this weekend, but next. I'm driving, I'm probably driving now because we can't find a flight that doesn't have like a 10-hour layover. So I'm ending up driving to Boston, Massachusetts with my son to see the UFC 292 Aljamain Sterling versus O'Malley card, which we're really excited about. I might take some KRATOM that weekend. Don't even bother getting in my freaking comments, don't do it, dude, don't do it. I'm not saying I'm gonna, but I might, and I guarantee you I won't come back and take it during the week, and I won't come back and continue taking it. But it's one of those things where, I do want to leave that door open. It's legal, and I like to enjoy things that are offered, natural things that are offered that are legal. I understand it's a slippery slope. I understand if you take it every day, all day, it's gonna become a problem. But it's one of those things where that's just who I am. I'm unapologetically me, and it doesn't matter what you say in the comments. I'm still gonna be me, and if I want to still take it from time to time, that's what I'll do. Not saying I'm gonna. I may decide that I'm not gonna, but I might. You'll have to tune back in. You'll have to watch. You have to see if I'm going to end up living up to my word or I'm going to end up being a train wreck. I'm not going to be a train wreck. I got too much going on in my life. I got too much love for myself, too much love for my family. 18 days off of KRATOM, still trucking it. I love you guys. I got to go. Hit that subscribe button if you enjoy this sort of talk and transparency. Leave a comment down below. Be interactive. Like the video. I will see you guys next time. All right, peace.